Hey y'all, it's Leanne and welcome back to my channel. I received several Instagram requests on my everyday makeup look, so unfortunately I forgot to record an intro, so we're just gonna jump right on into it. So I don't want to call this an everyday makeup look because I don't do this every day, but I do it whenever I am filming for YouTube or taking photos for my Instagram. I like to look like an enhanced version of myself, so my makeup is generally pretty natural and I pretty much go for the same products every time. So first I'm gonna prime my face. I have oily skin, so I'll be using the Becca Ever Matte Poreless Perfecting Primer. I concentrate the primer on my nose, my forehead, and a little bit on my cheeks. So I let that set in first before I put on my foundation, and I head next to do my eyebrows and my eyes just because that's just the way I function. The purpose of this video basically was for me to kill two birds with one stone. I can show you what my YouTube makeup looks like, but then I can also talk to you a little bit about what's been going on in my life, what has been going on in Alaska, why I haven't been vlogging, things of that nature. Before I get into all that, forgot to tell you, this is a Goof Proof brow pencil from Benefit in the color number 6. Benefit brow pencils have been my absolute favorite just because they go on really good and they look realistic, but then also because, oh, that's too thick, good lord. I'm like talking so much, I'm not even paying attention to what I'm doing. But also because of the color, I think it's the perfect color for my skin tone. I don't like brows that are super black, so the number 6 is their darkest color, and I just like how it looks on my skin. This is the reason why I do my brows first, because I mess up quite often. So instead of wiping away the brows and the foundation, I get to wipe away the brows only. That way I don't have to start over with my foundation from the beginning. So before I get into the Alaska part of it, I just want to give you a little bit of background about me, because I'm not even sure if a lot of you all that watch my YouTube channel know that much about me. But I was born and raised in a small town in Virginia. It's called Danville, Virginia, and I lived there all of my life from birth all the way up till I graduated high school. And then I went off to college in North Carolina. I bounced back and forth between North Carolina and Virginia for a few years, between like working and grad school, until I got married in 2008. So obviously, you know, a lot of y'all know that I am married to a man in the Air Force, and that was a new and different experience for me because, like I said, I grew up in the same town. Everybody knew everybody, and that's just the way that it was. His first duty station was in England. I was in grad school and we weren't married at the time. So I was, you know, at Duke. I'm gonna set my brows first with the iconic brow setting gel from Julep. So anyway, it was a new experience for me, but our first duty station together as a married couple was in Virginia, so that was, you know, pretty easy. I was still close to my friends who were in Charlotte and Charlottesville and Richmond, and I was still close to Chapel Hill, so everything was really easy. And then we decided that we were going to be, you know, adults and we wanted to move away from that area. So on our dream sheet, when we PCS from Virginia, we ended up going to San Antonio, which was actually one of our first choices. San Antonio was cool. We bought our first house there. It was just a good experience and I loved my job. So after San Antonio was Tampa, and we were in Tampa for only about a year and 4 or 5 months. And within the first year, so we hadn't even been there for a full year yet, around the 11-month mark, we found out that we were moving here to Alaska. So just to be honest with you, Tampa was not the best experience for our family, not because of the city itself, but because when we moved there, I jumped right into a new job 4 days later. We did not have a house to live in. I was working full-time, 12-hour days. and we had my daughter and we had my son and we had my niece with us, and it was just, it started off being a mess and it continued to be a mess until we left there. So when we found out we were moving to Alaska, we knew we were only going to be here for 2 years. So we figured that was a good opportunity for me to just relax, stay at home for a little bit. I hadn't really seen the kids that much because, like I said, I was working so much. And we really just wanted to just enjoy like a slower type of lifestyle. So we knew that when we got here that I wasn't going to work, at least for the first year. So we got here in June, which was about 5 months ago. Yeah, about 5 months ago. And in my mind, we had planned for all of these fantastic things to happen. By the way, I'm using an IT Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. It's a naturally pretty eyeshadow palette. It just has lots of warm tones in it, which I really like. So anyway, we knew that I wasn't going to be working, and so we had made all these plans in our mind about how a stay-at-home mom life was going to be, which basically meant, you know, the house was going to be clean all the time. I'd be going on Cameron's field trips and dropping her off at school and eating lunch with her. And on top of that, I would be able to do my blog, do my YouTube channel, do all of these wonderful things that I've been wanting to do for years, and everything was going to be great and wonderful and terrific. But I was wrong. I was very wrong, actually. I think when we first got here, I felt a lot of, and I'm going to call it self-imposed pressure to do all of these wonderful things with our house, do all of these wonderful things on my YouTube channel, and document everything, and life was just going to be great. I was, you know, we were going to be healthier because I was going to cook all the time. We weren't going to be going out to fast food restaurants or restaurants in general. The house would be clean all the time because I would be home all the time. We'd get to exercise, and I would, you know, because we had all this extra time. But when we got here, the reality of it all just wasn't, it was a false reality that we had. And to be honest with you, I know I came on towards the beginning of when we got here and I said that I was going to be vlogging and doing all these wonderful things. Well, as a matter of fact, I did vlog some things. I had my camera with me all the time, but when it came to editing videos, it was really difficult for me to do, and partly because I didn't have time. I had other commitments that I had to make time for. And also because I'm a perfectionist, and I see these other bloggers who have, you know, 2.5 kids and a dog and a handsome husband and this beautifully decorated house, and they always look Instagram ready, like always. And they always take dope pictures of their kids. Their kids are always smiling. They're always seem like they're cooperating. They cook all these fantastic meals. And here I am, and I can barely even like hold it together. And that's kind of where I fell off, to be completely honest with you. That's where I got messed up, basically. I was expecting me to be at a certain place, at a certain point in my blogging career, at a certain point in my personal life, and it just wasn't there. And so while even still, if you look at my Facebook page and my Instagram page, everything looks wonderful and fine and dandy, because on paper it was. I have 2 beautiful children. I have a handsome husband who's doing all of these great leadership things at work. I live in Alaska, which at first I have to admit I was pretty devastated about, but it's a beautiful state with like so many things to offer. So on paper everything looked great, but in my mind, in my mental mind, I was falling apart. I was literally falling apart. So now that I got the eyes out of the way, we're gonna do some eyeliner, if I could just find it. So for my eyeliner, I like the NYX Matte Liquid Liner. But yeah, everything was just in my mind. I think I was just putting a lot of self-imposed pressure for everything to look, seem, and be beautiful and fantastic and organically wonderful all the time, when, you know what, it probably could have been, but I was just pressuring myself to perform at a time when I really just needed to rest because I hadn't really rested. I don't know how y'all do this. Do makeup and talk at the same time. Honey, this is difficult. That looks halfway decent, I think. Do a little bit of mascara for now, and then move on to the rest of the face. After a few months of me feeling just really depressed and not that great about myself, I went and finally talked to a counselor. She really did help me out a lot. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filtr Foundation in 420. She didn't really tell me anything that I didn't already know. I've had a bit of melancholy my entire life. I've just always been that way. But when we moved here, it got really, really bad. And she didn't really tell me anything I didn't know already, but she really just helped to put things into perspective for me in terms of why I could be feeling the way that I was feeling, especially with the part of not feeling good enough. And also just reminding me that even though I've had a successful career, that having a career with a job outside of the home is just totally different from staying at home. And that also, this is really the first time, just messed up my eyebrow. This is really the first time I've had time to myself. Whereas in the past, I never had time to myself. And even now still, I don't have that much time to myself. She also put things into perspective for me in terms of losses, and not losses in necessarily the physical sense, like a loved one has died, but losses in the fact that I no longer had a job. I lost my job. I lost my friends. I lost the house that we lived in, that we called home, while it wasn't for a very long time. Coming to a new place where the layout and the setup and everything looks different and the people are different, it's, you know, it can be difficult, I'll put it that way. And especially for me as a Black woman, or maybe even as a woman in general, where you just have this feeling that you have to be perfect at everything. You have to excel at everything. You have to be great at everything, and you can't break down. You can't let them see you sweat. It was just a lot of pressure, and it was probably not pressure that anybody was putting on me. It was pressure from my own self. Even my husband wasn't even putting any pressure on me to like cook dinner or make sure his uniforms were ironed, or whatever the things that we had talked about how perfect and beautiful and wonderful it would be for us to have this new life. He never really put pressure on me when we got here to actually do those things. It was me, and I was letting myself down. And so with that being said, I also had to learn to give myself a break as well. So over the past month or so, I would say I've been giving myself, this is the wrong color. I have been giving myself the opportunity to just rest. I have been giving myself a break in terms of not beating myself up over like giving my kids pizza again for dinner when they just had it for lunch. Like, I've just been doing a better job at being gracious to myself and not stressing myself out so much to the point of not being able to enjoy this experience. So with that being said, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but wherever you are in life, it doesn't matter whether you are going off to college, starting a new job, moving to a new city, getting married, having a baby, whatever the case may be, please take time out to be gracious to yourself. Please take time out to give yourself a break. You can't do everything, and it's totally okay. And another thing to keep in mind is get you some friends who are in the same boat as you or who have been there before. And the reason why I say that is because I was comparing myself to people that I did not know, who I assumed had it all together. But when I actually made friends with some of those people and found out that, you know, they too have laundry that they haven't done for 3 weeks, or their pile of clean clothes is still sitting in the same spot as it was like 2 weeks ago. Like, I felt so much better knowing that I wasn't alone in my struggles of learning how to navigate being a stay-at-home mom. When I was working, I gave myself all kinds of grace. But being at home, I wasn't doing that. So just make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people who can check you and tell you, no, Leanne, you're not crazy. I'm going through the same thing. And yes, Leanne, you need to give yourself a break. So with that being said, just so you all know, I'm in a much better place in my life right now than I was a couple of months ago. I really truly am. And I'm just not so hard on myself for the things that I thought or wish could happen, and just really enjoying being in this moment and being in this place with my family. And I don't know, I just kind of know that everything is going to be okay. So just gonna set my under eyes real quick. I'm gonna link all the products that I'm using down in the description box, just FYI. For this, I'm using the Laura Mercier, what is this called? Translucent Medium Deep Setting Powder, Loose Setting Powder. So once I'm done with all of that, I apply some blush, some highlighter, and some lip gloss, and then we're done, boo. It's kind of fun. I just really need to be more organized. So for the blush, I'm using a NYX Cheek Contour Duo Palette in the color Wine and Dine, and I'm pretty sure I got this from Ulta probably last year sometime. And then to highlight, I also use the NYX Illuminator in the color Chaotic. Nice, pretty pink color with some gold flecks in it. I still don't really know how to put on highlighter, so I use my fingers because I really don't know how to do it with the brush, and then I just tap it on. Then once that's done, I just add my Fenty Beauty, I guess it's called the Gloss Bomb from what I can remember. Yeah, the Fenty Glow Gloss Bomb. This is my favorite lip gloss of all time. And that's really all I do for my face. Okay, now onto this hair. So for my hair, I decided to do some flat twists. Okay, so what I was also going to mention was, now that I'm in a better place in my life mentally, I'm gonna probably go back to vlogging. I was gonna ask y'all if you want me to start from the beginning, from stuff that I vlogged this summer, but now that I kind of say it out loud, I think I'm just gonna kind of start from this point going forward instead of going backwards, because sometimes that footage is also really difficult to, I guess, edit. It may not be all that cohesive. But what I may do is, if we went on a special trip somewhere and if I have enough footage from that particular trip all by itself, then I may just edit that footage and put it up. So it may be from a few months ago, but I think in terms of vlogging our everyday lives, I'm just gonna start from this point going forward. So we'll do the holidays and I'll show you around town and stuff like that. This is so bomb, you guys. Whoa, 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 whoa. These curls, amazing. So yeah, I'm done playing with my hair now. But basically, just to sort of wrap up everything, the big takeaways from my little rambling basically was be gracious to yourself, give yourself a break, give yourself time to rest and reset and recharge, and then also at the same time, don't try to keep up with everybody else. Work at your own pace. You will be a much happier person when you are catering to your own needs as opposed to trying to fulfill what everybody else wants you to do. And then on top of that, you don't know what anybody else that looks like you or seemingly looking like you is going through. You don't know what their life is like. You don't know what's going on in their behind the scenes because they only post whatever their highlights are. So just do you. That's basically it. And so now that I have learned to accept doing me, I'm in a much happier place right now. So sorry for rambling on so much, but I really hope y'all enjoyed this little chit chat. But yeah, that's really about it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and thank you all so very much. I love you forever and ever, and I will see y'all next time.